Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for coming before the hearing. I have a few questions, but I want to go back before I do that to understand for myself what had taken place in the question and answer between you and Ranking Member Grijalva. I'm trying to understand that. In the USGS North Slope oil assessment, I don't think there's any question or any belief that you made any changes in that. I think you felt like you had, no one is saying that. We assume that you made no changes at all and that you just had the report. The question, though, I think the underlying question is, why did you request to see the USGS study before it was released? As I understand in the manual, USGS manual, it says particularly sensitive results, however, such as energy and mineral resource assessments and mineral commodity reports that typically have significant economic implications are not disclosed or shared in advance of public release because pre-release in these cases could result in unfair advantage or the perception of unfair advantage. So my question is, why did you do that? Not that you did anything, changing anything, but why did you request to see it when in fact it was the policy not to share with anyone the USGS report because of the possible market implications?
Well, first of all, there's a chain of command, and the USGS works for the Department of Interior. So I have every right to look at and review documents prior to release from the Department of Interior. Same would be your staff. Your staff works for you. I assume you look at releases prior to your staff's releasing. The question is integrity of documents. And in the case of scientific documents, I didn't change a comment, and to your point, I didn't.
Did.
But this is what I wanted to know in the case of this one, and I think you'll be interested to know. You had the same data set, 2 studies within a couple years of each other, and the outcomes were different in magnitude. So why was there such a difference in magnitude? Was it because Bohm also looked at it, and Bohm has a better modeling of resources? And when it says recoverable resources, is that modern technology using hydraulic fracturing, or was it standard, and did it include offshore? Those are the questions, because it makes a difference as interior policy about the National Petroleum Reserve. That's why I looked at it.
Okay, let me go on, because I don't have a great deal of time, and I understand that. But what I don't understand is that when you say you're looking at the methodology, the first study was released in 2010, and then we're talking about what happened in the fall of 2017. Now we're in 2018, so it was almost 8 years ago. And there have been a number of major oil discoveries have been made in the region covered by this assessment. So I don't think there's any mystery that the resources have jumped. It's not the methodology. We know that the resources have jumped. So the question is, even though you're asking about questioning the methodology, I don't think that, and I'd like to hear your answer, is the critical issue. We all know that the resources, the question is, were you not aware of the discoveries over the past few years, and that was the reason for the change?
The data set was largely unchanged, because we've done really in the areas, we haven't done a lot of seismic in a review of it, but that's the question I asked, and I'm a geologist. And when you have one study that's done a few years and the next study is done, Bohm comes in, and the magnitude of the resources is significant. And then I want to know, at what level did we look at recoverable assets? Because it's important. Are we looking at technology 7 years ago, 5 years ago, today? I think those are fair questions, and also the extent, because you have horizontal drilling now that has a reach. Even a few years ago, we couldn't go. So again, as Department of Interior, as a secretary, I have every right to look at documents. Like you, I'm concerned that if you were to manipulate the documents, I think there's an integrity problem, because we all respect the scientific integrity of the people, and that's what we want to preserve.
If I might just change the topic just quickly and just ask one more question.
No, your time's up, Mr.
I yield back.
Sorry.